Hello, everyone. So since back to school night goes pretty quickly and it was a little bit disjointed with having people join Zoom and stuff like that, I wanted to make kind of a supplementary video in place of a recording of the actual Zoom meeting in terms of just some kind of basic nuts and bolts for how the course works. This video is applicable to either my English 2 course or my English 1 course. So if you have a sophomore or a freshman, the same information should be relevant for you. When we did this originally, I had a window for chat, but obviously that doesn't really pertain to us. So just a couple things about me before I kind of show you Google Classroom and things like that. It's my 7th year teaching overall and 3rd at Wheatland. It's normally great. This is a little bit different and not quite my favorite thing in the world, but it's certainly not because of the kids, and we're all making the best of it. I do have some methods of contact. During the live session, I put it in the chat. At this point, the best way to find it is to go to your Google Classroom, your students' Google Classroom, to the open office hours section. The gist of what's there is my email address, my room extension, and some info on how to get onto Remind. Pretty much everything is going to run through Google Classroom while we're distance learning. And so just to bring you up to speed on some formatting and some tips and tricks, here is a short video of some how-tos. Hello, and thank you for being here. I just wanted to make this quick video for future reference in terms of some of the features of your students' Google Classroom and how to hopefully navigate it a little bit more efficiently and help your student stay on track and accountable. So before we even get into English specifically, I wanted to show you something just kind of on their base tile. So when they log into Google Classroom, this is kind of like what it will look like before they actually go to their class. Note that students do have the capability to drag this into any order that they want. So if there is a more convenient way for them to organize it, like by period or something like that, definitely worth encouraging them to do so. I did want to show you this to-do list, however, because I think this is a pretty nifty feature of Google Classroom. So this will show you any assignments that are due anytime soon for any of your students' classes. As you can see, you've got my class here, English, but you've also got work for the student for math and for Metal Shop and for Pirate Focus. So if you're looking for just kind of a quick, all right, what's due soon to kind of help students put it on a physical calendar, this is a good place to look. Let's go in and take a look just at a few things related to English specifically. And note that if your student is in my AP course or they're in my English 2 course, the assignment titles are slightly different, but the setup, which is kind of the important part, is the same. So this is just their stream. This is kind of where you'll see new announcements kind of day by day. And as you can see, it's also kind of been the place where many people have been kind of reaching out if they're having any kind of internet connection issues or anything like that. In your students' classwork tab, there are some useful resources here. As you can see, it is organized by week. And basically, I do go back and delete portals for really old assignments once they're more than 2 or 3 weeks old. So it's one of those things, if you still see it, that means they can still turn it in, at least for late work credit. And usually Wednesday mornings are the day that I'm revising this list. So anything you see currently would still be something they could turn in up until next Wednesday morning. The Zoom link to get into class is in the same place, and it's the same link every day. In fact, it might be the same link that some of you used to get here in the first place. And then there is a separate link for open office hours from 2:15 to 3:02 every day. So if your student wants to have a one-on-one face-to-face conversation, at least while we're in distance learning, that is the best way to do it. There are also some other posted methods of contact here that I wanted to make sure that you were aware of. So any of these methods will also take you to a method that your student can use to get in touch with me. The other thing I just wanted to point out here is I did want to talk a little bit about this View Your Work tab. However, to preserve the particular student's privacy who I'm logged in under right now, We're going to break out of the video, but there'll be an example of what it looks like on the next slide. So this is that example. Once you click view your work, you get something that looks like this. As you can see, it's got the assignment, it's got the due date, and it's got whether it is a pending due date, something that's been scored already, or whether it's something that's missing. Other aspects of Google Classroom to keep in mind, especially during distance learning, students can click the turn in button at any stage in an assignment, and they do. So if your students' classwork scores are low and you ask them about their assignments and you're seeing a discrepancy in terms of what looks like it's turned in versus the scores that are on Aries, they may very well be submitting blank documents or documents that aren't complete. So it's much better to actually look at the physical copy of each Google Doc that they're working on. I can add you as a guardian if you'd like on Google Classroom so that you can access it yourself with your email address, but be prepared. It is a lot of emails. I generally don't do it by default unless I'm asked by request. Also, just be aware, and this kind of relates to this first point, 99% of the time, students will be working on work that's posted on Google Classroom in a way where they open up the assignment, they have a template Google Doc that they just type into, and they hit the turn in button when they're done. There shouldn't be any case of your student not knowing how to submit something to Google Classroom. Grading policies. If you read the syllabus, some of this was already stated there. But basically, encourage your student to communicate. I do reduce credit by 50% when it becomes late, but I've been pretty lenient about that if the student reaches out to me before it's actually due and is upfront about needing an extension. If your student does develop late work, any assignment that is visible on Google Classroom can still be turned in. Let's say you're watching this video on a Friday. Anything that you see there on that Friday will still for sure be up until the next Wednesday morning. Some grading categories, 35% goes to major writing and projects, 35% to daily work, 15% to tests and quizzes, and 15% to summative assessment, which is basically like the final exam at this point. If you do have any other questions, feel free to reach out at any point via email or any of the other methods of contact on that first Google Doc I referenced. Appreciate your attention. And it is Friday, and this is the last thing that I have to do before starting the weekend. So that's what I'm going to do. Have a good weekend yourself if you are watching it this weekend, and reach out if you ever need anything. Thank you for your attention.